We're going to India now. Specifically, we're going to the far north, to the foothills of the Himalaya mountains. And one of the things that you're going to notice is that there's a series of ridges that you have to cross in order to get up into the mountains. Those mountains are the barrier between China and India. China's in the north, Nepal is going to be to the east, and Pakistan to the west. We're headed for that red dot, Nainital, because that's where Jim Corbett lived. When I was a boy, I was in junior high school, I read a short story by Jim Corbett. Now, at that time, Jim Corbett was the best known tiger hunter in the world. As a matter of fact, he was probably the best known man-eating cat hunter in the world. But that was about a century ago. And so I'm going to need to go back and review some of the stuff with you, because you probably don't know about Jim Corbett. Jim Corbett was third generation Irish in India. He grew up in India. He knew it quite well. And the local Indians had taught him everything that they knew about jungle lore. And so Jim Corbett was particularly well suited to be a hunter. As a matter of fact, when the British Raj wanted to stage large hunting events for the local visitors, or for the governor of India, the viceroy, they might go up and ask him to set up the hunt. He was that famous. And that's not really what made him famous. Hunting on the back of an elephant after tigers is one thing, but Jim Corbett usually didn't do that. He went after man-eaters specifically because they were bothering the local people, and he needed to put them out of the way. One of the first ones that he put out of the way was the Champawat tiger. And there's a series of books that Jim writes, and this is one of them. And I'm going to read you a little bit from the book so that you get a feel for what he's doing. While I was hunting the Champawat man-eater in 1907, I heard of a man-eating leopard that was terrorizing the inhabitants of villages on the eastern border of the Mora district. This leopard, about which questions were asked in the House of Commons, the British House of Commons, was known under several names, and it was credited with having killed 400 human beings. I knew the animal under the name of Panwar man-eater, and I shall therefore use that name for the purpose of my story. And then he goes on to say, when therefore these two animals, that is the Champawat tiger and this leopard, who between them killed 836 human beings, made their appearance, the government was forced with a difficult situation. And the reason the government was forced with a difficult situation was because no hunter had been able to kill these two animals. I'm focusing now on the Champawat tiger. The tigress, for which the animal turned out to be, had arrived in Kumaon, that's the district that Jim lived in, was a full-fledged man-eater from Nepal. In Nepal, she had eaten about 200 people, apparently. And the Nepalese army was called out in order to flush her out of her home range, and that's why she went over to India. During the 4 years that she had been operating in Kumaon, had added 234 to this number. In other words, he's crediting her with over 400 human beings being killed. Now, these two cats weren't the only ones that Jim Corbett killed. He killed a number of them, and together it was something over 1,000 people that they ate. Of course, the records are not terribly good in this period, and so we don't really know how many people they killed. Jim does make several interesting observations. One is that tigers, once they become man-eaters, only kill humans in the daylight. Now this makes a certain amount of sense because tigers are not afraid of people once they've killed a few, and more people are out in the daylight than at night. Leopards, on the other hand, never lose their fear of human beings, and the result of that is that they kill humans at night. Now, one other thing that Jim points out is that usually when you get a man-eater, there's a reason for it. And that reason is usually because that animal has been injured. I've got a little quote here. A post-mortem on the tigress, that is the Champawat tigress, showed the upper and lower canine teeth on the right side of her mouth were broken. The upper one in half and the lower one down to the bone. This injury, a result of an old gunshot, according to Corbett, and Jim Corbett thinks that people that hunt tigers and wound them is usually why they become man-eaters, probably prevented her from hunting her natural prey, and hence she started to hunt humans. Unlike the classic tiger hunters of India, Jim Corbett tended to hunt his man-eaters on foot and mostly alone.
None knows better than I that the hunting of tigers on foot is not a popular sport, and that the hunting of man-eaters on foot is even less so. I searched fruitlessly for a month, wandering through the jungles from dawn to dusk, far from the nearest human dwelling. I had no definite knowledge of the man-eater's whereabouts. She might have been 50 miles away, or she might have been watching me from a distance of 50 yards. Only those who have walked in fear of having the teeth of a tiger meet in their throat will have any idea of the effect on one's nerves of days and weeks spent stalking a hungry beast which has declared itself your enemy. Through the ensuing days, I tried every trick I had learnt in a lifetime in the jungle to outwit her, always knowing that she might be just beyond the next turn in the path. My sixth sense told me that she was watching and following me. I'd been along this gully many times, but this was the first occasion on which I hesitated to pass. My instincts told me of the presence of the tiger. There was nothing for it but cautiously to retrace my own steps. I did not find the tigress, but I found her fresh pug marks over my footprints. I realized then how nearly the thread on which my life hung had been cut.
In addition to hunting the animals, Jim Corbett was also interested in passing along his information about animals in India. He wrote a book called Jungle Lore. It's a small book, you can read it pretty quickly, but it tells you all kinds of things. One of the things that it tells you is he could tell not only what the animals were saying when they were talking back and forth in the jungle, but he could mimic them to a large extent. In addition, one of the things that he could say that I found surprising was that he could tell by the track of a snake whether it was likely to be poisonous or non-poisonous, and he tells you how to do that in the book. And like I said, he was happy to pass that information along. He was so good at calling tigers and leopards that the animals, of course, couldn't tell the difference. One time he was calling in a man-eating leopard, and that was a male, and there was a female that came up behind Jim Corbett, and the male and the female found each other, and they had a wonderful time, but Jim never got his shot at the male man-eater.
You come and sit down, please. Animals in their natural environment don't kill wantonly. Only we do that. Someone switch the light off, please. You'll have joy all around you. You recognize birds and animals by their calls. When I was your age, I used to mimic most of the jungle creatures. Using my ears has often helped me as a hunter. Now, a leopard calls like this. If you answer his call, he'll come to find you. Now, a chital deer barks like this when a leopard is around. A warning to the herd. Langur chatters like this. Peafowl calls to a tiger. Now, I am a tiger, calling to a tigress in the mating season across the hills.
Jim Corbett not only wrote about animals, wild animals in India, but he also wrote a book called My India about villagers in his neighborhood that he knew personally. And he told a lot of different stories, one of which was about an old poacher that he knew. And that old poacher had taught him a lot of his jungle lore. But this story is about the poacher, not about the jungle lore.
Jim bought the village of Choti Halwani in 1915. The place was practically derelict, but he is set to work to remedy this, enclosing the village little by little with a masonry wall. He himself helps with clearing and irrigating the land. He has new houses built and old ones renovated. And gradually, the village is developing into one of the best in this part of the country.
Carpet, sir. I need some new chana. Grass is not growing in my field.
That's because of the lantana, Ram Singh. Burn the lantana and the grass will grow. You want some matches? I brought some new seed, good seed, barley. That's for everybody, you understand?
Yes, sir, for everybody.
Choti Halwani has been our second home since we were children. We've always felt part of the village and close to our neighboring families, particularly Jim, who prefers to sleep in a tent in the garden.
Ah, Bahadur.
What is that?
It's a cinematograph camera. What is the news?
What is cinematograph?
It's like the cinema.
It will take moving pictures?
Yes. What is the news? What has been happening here this past month?
Everything is very quiet, Kabir Sahib. All as usual, peaceful, hard work. But your old friend Kumar Singh is dying.
Of what?
Well, you know, he has been taking opium. As you sow, so shall you reap.
He used to be the best poacher in the forest. When I was a boy, living here, he taught me all about the jungle. He should live to a good old age, not be put out to die. Jaldi.
What's all this superstitious rubbish going on here? You clear Bhagavan, eh? I won't have it.
Come in, sir. He's thinking his father will die tonight.
Nonsense. Nonsense.
चलो भागो यहाँ से सांप तो बहुत गुस्से में लगते हैं.
What are they doing to him? Get these people out, Bahadur. Bring me 2 seers of warm milk.
Come on, chalo, chalo.
Now, make these people go home, Bahadur. Quickly now, Zhao Zhao. Gently, my old friend. Don't worry. I'm here now. Be quiet! Make those people go home, Bahadur. So, times have changed, Uncle. So have you. There was a time when no man would have dared take you from your home to die like a beggar. You wouldn't listen to our warning. And now the vile drug has brought you to this. But you're not going to die, my old friend. You're going to live for many years. But first, you're going to promise on the head of your son that you'll never more touch the filthy drug. And this time you're going to keep your promise. I'll not come to save you again. Huh? Huh? Now, while we wait for the warm milk, you smoke.
How can a dying man smoke cigarette, Corbett, son?
There'll be no more talk of dying, because you're not going to. As for I will smoke. Pour some in there. Right. Your father is better. You stay with him all night. Let nobody else in. Every time he wakes, you give him some more warm milk. Someday. Now, you must sleep, Uncle. Cha-cha. Fresh air and forest. I'll come back tomorrow. If I find him dead, I'll burn down the village. I remember showing Gunwar Singh my first old gun when I was a boy. He said, "Now you are a man. With that gun, you can go into the jungle and never be afraid. Provided you know how to climb trees." He taught me that, too.
I don't think Kumar Singh will touch opium again.